What is up, everybody? So we got something a little different today. We have an old Craftsman Backpack Blower. My dad bought this back when I was in my 20s. I'm in my 50s now, so it's pretty old. I believe it ran the last time it was used. I really don't know. I got it from him. It was in his basement. It feels like it has compression. I'll show you guys in a minute when I put the camera down, but we're looking at a Craftsman 636 37.7 cc two-stroke backpack blower. So feels pretty good. Feels better than the old pulling chainsaw I got there that doesn't want to run. But what we're going to do right now, first thing I'm going to do is clean it up. I'm going to spray it down with some super clean and hose it off, and just kind of start going through it. I know it probably needs a carb clean. Go take a peek through there at the piston and cylinder, see how that looks. And we'll go from there and see if it'll run. Alright, we got her back in the garage. I think I'm going to start pulling this carburetor off first, and I'm probably going to just kind of pull a lot of this off, just clean it up some. But we'll start over here. And that off there. And yeah, that doesn't look so good. Gotta check that guy out. So we definitely are, that's going in the trash. That came off pretty easy. Need some pliers. There we go. Look at that little bitty slide. Isn't it cute? The fuel lines are stiff, but I don't see any cracking on them. That's pretty amazing. And not really any fuel in there. There's the carb. Dirty on the outside, and inside it's not. Okay, so from what I can tell, it looks like maybe we've got some reeds in there. Let's get that off there, if you can. Gasket needs to be cleaned up. Looks pretty good. And it does appear to have some sort of reed. Let's see. There we go. So yes, indeed, we have reeds. And from the looks of those reeds, it definitely was run with that rotted out filter. So yeah, that's not real promising. Alright, so I went ahead and I took the 4 bolts out for the gas tank and got it out of the way. So I think what I'm going to do is just do a full tear down on this guy and just look it over, clean it up if it's worth it, and put it back together. And I don't know what with it, but of course you can see this needs a little work, so that it's coming off anyway. Alright, here's our rewind assembly. Shake that water out. So we'll work on that later. Alright, had to get a couple wrenches. So go ahead and loosen the plug. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't look horrible. It's a little carboned up, but actually it's not terrible. I always like to put the screws back in place if I can. That way they don't get lost and you know where they go. Makes it easy. Now, I need to get this pickup out of the way. Just got a little water in there. That was from where I cleaned it. There's the coil. It's a little dirty, but don't matter. It's a magnetic operation, so. Okay, so I've got the exhaust unbolted. Let's see if we can get it out of there. There we go. And haha, a little water. We definitely got a broken weld, so let's see if we can weld that back up. Alright, so let's switch you guys back just a hair. Get a little better view. I went and dumped the water out of the turbine area, and a lot of shells, like sunflower seed shells, came out. So that tells me that there was definitely a mouse living in that. It doesn't matter, we're going to take it apart anyway. So I want to get the cylinder and all and crank off the blower housing. So it's screwed in from the other side. We got to take the housing apart. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, it's going to take a minute, so I'm going to pause you and we'll come back when I get all these out. Alright guys, so I went ahead and pulled this out of the frame. It's just 4 bolts, 4 engine mounts, 2 there and 2 on the other side. So I bolted those, pulled it right out of the frame, got all the screws out of it. It should open up, so let's see what's in there. Okay, that side does not look too bad. A few of those shells. What about this side? Well, look at there. Nothing. I was expecting to see a nest in there, but it's just some shells. We should be good. Okay. So it looks like, okay. Let's see if it'll come off there. See if we can hold this side. Right off. Looks like we got a lock washer and a regular washer. Now, question is, what's it going to take to get that out? Not much. There she is. So let's go ahead and just like that, our crank and cylinder are off the housing. So there it is. Still got some grime on it. Is that key good and stuck? Yeah, feels like it. Okay. What's that piston look like? Looks a little black. Now guys, I don't know if you know this or have ever tried it, but good old WD works great for cleaning grease on all products, even your hands. So look at that. Alright, so that should be it. Let's see if this head will come on. There we go. Let's take a look up in the cylinder first. I don't know if you guys can really see up in there. Go. I'm not sure what that is. It's too uniform to be something hidden in there. Alright, we'll check that out later. Alright, so and no, our rings are not stuck. actually look pretty good. Alright guys, I was able to get the piston off. Use a little PB and a device as a punch and hammer that out a little bit, but there's our needle bearing and it feels pretty good. I think we're fine there. Piston does not look too bad. So here's the crank, and there is 0 up and down play on that crank, and barely, I mean just barely any side to side. So that crank's good. I'm cracking this case open anyway because remember that nastiness that we saw that was getting sucked in there. Well, I'm gonna crack this case and get that cleaned out. It shouldn't be too bad. Then we'll just use some ultra black and put it back together. Okay. Let's see if this case will crack open. I have to give it a few little taps. Okay, I'm seeing a gap. Aha, look at there. Now, alright, that Woodruff key was not coming off, so it really wasn't that tight. So it didn't, that Woodruff key should not have affected my seal. So, yeah, you see all that grime and gum. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I pulled the flywheel off. It was just one nut, of course, and it is reverse threaded, so keep an eye on that. But impact pulled that right off. Had to use a little mini jaw puller and barely had to put any torque on it, and it popped right off there. Now the crank, the crank was up in there pretty good. Bearing still feels good. So yeah, the crank was pretty well seated in that bearing. I had to use the shop press to press that out. And I did some research. Parts for this thing are none. You can find somebody that's got some old parts, but as far as ordering new parts like rings and seals, not going to happen. So with that being said, I've decided I am not going to pull these seals and press these bearings out. I'm just going to clean it the best I can and then reassemble it, because I don't want to damage the seals. Bearings are good, but I don't want to damage the seals, and I can't get rings for it, so you know, there's really no reason to put a lot of money into it. Just a little bit of time here. I do this for fun, you know. I enjoy taking stuff apart and working on them and cleaning them up, and so this is just a matter of my time, which I enjoy doing this, so it's actually, you could say it's valuable to me. But as far as putting money into this guy, it's not worth it. So what we're going to do, I am going to clean both halves of this case. I did add a little bit of spray, clean this one out a little bit, clean the outside off a little bit. But I think what I'm going to do is probably try to scrub this down a little more, get a little of that gunk off of there, especially this one up in here, get all that cleaned out, get that gunk out of there, and then we'll start reassembling it. While we're here, we can go ahead and check our ring gap. So let's do that. I can't use the piston to push it down in there evenly because I had to hammer that to that point, so that pin's in there. So just use my hands, get it down in there where I can visually see that it looks like it's seated pretty well, and that ring gap looks pretty good. Let's get my feelers. Okay, so of course I don't have a manual on this guy, so I don't know what we're supposed to read, but no, we are tighter than 12. Let's drop down to 10. There it is. So 10 thousandths. I don't know if you guys can see. 10 thousandths, 0.25 millimeter. It goes in and it's snug, so that's pretty good. Let's check this other one. No. That one also is 10 thousandths. So ring gap's good. I think I think we're good. I think everything is good to rebuild. Yeah, that's a weird thing in there. I wonder if that's like to catch oil. There's little dimples or whatever, but pretty weird. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up off camera. I'm gonna get that cleaned up off camera, and then we will we'll reassemble and go from there. Alright guys, we're back with the reassembly now. Got everything clean, case halves cleaned up, a little grease on the seals and bearing. There's the cylinder, you see it's all cleaned up in there. So let's get it back together. This side here is the flywheel side, because here's where your pickup mounts. So let's put that in there. Alright. I've got it pressed on there. This other side, I do believe, goes on pretty easy. I hope. We'll find out. Set this on there. Thread. Maybe this is, yeah. took my finger off. Guys, be careful with that. Alright. So the little gasket on here was just a flimsy paper thing. So we're just going to do some ultra black on both sides. Alright, I just put a little bit on there. And I'm just going to work it around. Nice coat. Don't need a thick one, but you don't need it too thin either. Excess. One's a little harder to get to. Alright. Right there. There we go. Go. Two halves are together. We got a socket so I can get a somewhat of an accurate reading on the torque that I'm doing. Alright, so it's been a little bit, and this has had time to set up so it doesn't get all over my hands. That was the whole reason for that. So we just put a little ultra black in the cylinder here. So let's get this seated back on real quick, and this is going to be the end of part one. It's late. I'm tired. If I sound a little groggy. Alright. Get those rings lined up. Facing down. There's two in. There we go. This is the part I said is going to be fun. So I would guess, if I had to guess, somewhere between 15 to 20 foot-pound, maybe. You've turned as many wrenches as I have. You know where it's at. So, like I said, I think this is going to wrap up part one. And I'm going to let this set up, and we'll start part two in the morning, or tomorrow. But now we got that on. Let's see. Does it turn? Okay. Yeah. Turns pretty smooth. Okay. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I enjoyed doing it. Regardless if you guys watch it or not, I'm going to be down here doing it anyway. But hopefully some of you are entertained. I always figured that somebody else may enjoy some of the stuff I do. But I want to thank all subscribers, and hit that like button and subscribe so you can get part 2 as soon as I release. Have a good one.